on Sun Valley. Daily local news from beautiful Sun Valley, Idaho.
Hi, welcome. I'm Lori McNee with Eye on Sun Valley, and this is Art Beat. And today I am in the beautiful home studio with Lisa Holley, well-known artist. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Good. Thanks for having us into your home studio.
Oh, great. Welcome, yes.
Well, good.
Cameraman too.
Yes. So, Lisa, you're a well-known watercolorist, and that's a very difficult medium, one of the most challenging, one of the most popular mediums because you only need to use water.
That's right.
But also one of the most challenging mediums. And you are doing the most beautiful, delicate, intricate work on botanicals and animals and birds. So tell us a little bit how you got started in this whole artistic journey.
Okay, well, in college, I majored in advertising. And about my junior year, they found out that I wasn't really good at drawing, but I was great at creating. So they made me take a drawing course called nature drawing.
Nature drawing.
Yes.
And drawing is the fundamental element of any form of art.
Yes.
And so you do need to be good at drawing, which you are, by the way.
Start off with a bad drawing, you just throw it away. Don't even bother to fill it in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. So you excelled at this drawing class.
I did very well, yes.
Okay, so then how did you go from drawing to painting?
I just had an affinity to watercolors. I tried all different kinds of mediums, and that was the one that I really enjoyed.
Wonderful. Now, when was this? Quite a few years back? You've been at this for a while.
I started doing those after I graduated.
Okay.
And before I went back to graduate school, which is when I started taking watercolor classes and illustration classes. And then after graduate school, I decided to ski bum for 1 year.
Oh, okay.
Moved to Jackson Hole.
Oh, not Sun Valley.
Stayed there 7 years, and then I moved to Sun Valley.
Good choice.
I've been here since 79.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah. Great. And I have known you for quite a few years.
Yes.
And you've been a professional artist since the 80s, probably, right?
Well, I was doing art fairs. I would come over here for art fairs from Jackson Hole, when they were around the pond up in Sun Valley. And then they moved them to various places, and I said, And
then, okay, so the famous paint or drawing, I should say, that got you started is?
Well, it's the jackrabbit.
The jackrabbit. And
how that came to be is I was doing all these wildflowers, having a wonderful time going out and photographing and working out in the meadows and sometimes back home. And the Kneeling Gallery, which was then the Wood River Gallery, it was the only gallery in town.
Yes.
And they said, okay, we're going to close for slack, which of course back in 79 or 80, slack lasted 2 months.
Yes. That's the off season.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they said, everybody bring in a drawing of your pet, and we'll post them all up on the walls, and we'll choose one, the audience can choose one, and we'll just go from there. Just have wine and have a good time. I said, oh my goodness, I don't do animals. I only do wildflowers. What am I going to do? And then I remembered in art history, Giuseppe Arcimboldo, who composed the courtesans out of their occupations or reputations. So a fishmonger was full of fish and crabs.
And I happen to have this book right here, which I'm interrupting, I know, but just so you know, that this book inspired her, this artist inspired her. It's very intricate work. And it's
fascinating. Yeah.
Giuseppe, say that one more time.
Arcimboldo.
Okay. All right. Anyway.
He worked in the 1520s.
Yes.
And I said, well, I can compose a jackrabbit. Because at that time, down in Mud Flats, they were having a jackrabbit infestation.
Yes.
And they were forming chain gangs with baseball bats. And
I know, it's an awful story.
And so I won't continue.
No.
Just use your imagination.
Yes.
And so I composed a jackrabbit out of what they eat. And I titled it an Idaho Club Sandwich. And I won the competition. A box of colored pencils that
And it was a little
turn
bit
to
of
watercolor.
a bit of a political statement as well.
Oh,
even.
very much so.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Then the Wood River Gallery carried me from then on.
Yes.
And then George and Diane Nealon bought that gallery and turned it into the Nealon Gallery.
Right.
And so I went along with the flow and was represented by the Nealon Gallery for many years.
And so from that point forward, you kind of changed your whole style, and you went from there to You Are What You Eat series. And that's what she's well known for, is the You Are What You Eat series.
Yeah.
So, and again, Giuseppe inspired that. And then you've really, I think Giuseppe's work is, to me, it's very interesting, but it's disturbing. And your work is cheery for the most part. I mean, sometimes you do something more edgy, but for the most part, it's more beautiful. And I could live with your work much more easily than Giuseppe's work. But so the bunny inspired you. And then from there, you've just continued. How do you keep coming up with new ideas?
Well, people tell me what they want.
Oh,
so I've done over 50 animals. And I think my next one, right now I'm working on a doe and her fawn. And they're composed out of all the flowers that you plant in your garden. And then around June, when they're all in and you've paid your bill, the deer come by and eat them.
Exactly.
So the deer and her fawn are composed out of all the flowers that they ate out of your garden.
Right.
And they're standing in rose bush and daylilies that have no flowers on them.
Oh, that's clever.
Yeah.
So you also, because of your background, you are good at websites and marketing and all of that. And you've had a website since the 90s, you told me.
Yes, yeah.
Which, that's very cutting edge for the average artist.
Well, my son-in-law is a techie.
Oh, that helps.
So he said, come on.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, good for you. But because of that, you've chosen primarily to go that route.
Yes.
And you sell your work online and you mail your prints around the world.
Right.
Okay,
yes.
Wonderful.
They've been to Australia. They stay there. Austria.
That's
England,
great. International.
There's a gallery that carries me in Wales.
Oh, that's exciting. Well, we're really excited to see how you do it. And so we're going to take a little break and we'll come right back and we're going to move over to your workstation where we can see your studio and how you do these beautiful works of art.
Okay, great.
We'll be right back.
So we're mods. We have coffee, we have pastries, we have clothing. We sell it all. We have a range of vintage clothing, high-end women's and everyday wear, ranging from Pendleton to fancy going out dresses. Some clothing even dating back to the 20s.
Hi, I'm Jacob. My wife Tara and I are the owners of Mods. We're both a coffee shop and a clothing store. We use Harrison Insurance for everything. Business, auto, renters, even our little dog is insured.
The nuances of our unique business are covered with Harrison, and I don't think that I could have obtained that going to a big insurance company directly.
We feel that if something were to happen tomorrow, we'd be okay because we have Harrison Insurance to help us.
Harrison Insurance for all of your insurance needs.
La Cabanita Mex, dubbed by the locals as authentic, tasty Mexican food and drinks with a festive atmosphere. And a pretty darn good sports bar, too. Big screens all over. La Cabanita prides itself on their Authentica Cocina Mexicana. Good food, very fast service, and delicious house recipes with those special Mexican spices. La Cabanita Mex, serving lunches, dinners, catering, company parties, and takeout. Ketchum and Bellevue. La Cabanita Mex.
Hi, I'm Gary, manager of the Attic Thrift Store in Hailey, and today I'm not here to sell you anything or tell you about any great deals at the Attic. We all know the Attic always has great deals. That goes without saying. Instead, the Attic and its staff would like to give a sincere thank you to all its loyal customers and generous donors who help to make a huge impact in our community. How? For those who don't know, the Attic Thrift Store is a nonprofit that exists to help support the advocates whose mission is to teach people of all ages to build and maintain healthy relationships through education, shelter, and support services. With your help, we are making a difference in ending domestic violence and sexual assault. Every day, lives are changed at The Advocates. Please visit our website at www.theadvocatesorg.org. So from all of us, thank you for shopping and donating to The Attic. You're truly...
We're back with Lisa Holley, and this is my favorite part of an interview is I love seeing the work that the artist is doing. And so we're at your beautiful workstation. And did you make this yourself?
No, I did not make it myself.
Okay.
No.
Well, it's extra special, especially this view. It's $1 million view right here of Baldy, and you're in the light industrial area, just wonderful location for the arts. And anyway, what are you working on today?
Right now, I have a doe and her fawn, and I'm composing her out of all the flowers in your garden that they like to eat around mid-July when they're just in perfect bloom, and you go out the next morning and they're all gone.
Oh, it's especially lovely. It's really, okay, show me what you're working on here. And
right now I'm working with this palette on the fawn, and then I'll wash all these out and start a new palette for her. Okay. Because she's more mature, the flowers in her will be more, not as delicate and pastel. And these all represent the little spots on the fawn.
Oh, they're beautiful.
And down here are
very clever
anemone, which always confuse me because of the little anemone in the aquariums too.
Well, you've done a lot of research on this. You spoke to Moss Gardens, and they told you all the deer-resistant plants?
Supposedly.
So you knew not to put that. So this is the plants that are in the garden.
They don't like prickly things.
Okay.
But for instance, on this list, they have daylilies, and I know for a fact they like daylilies.
They do like daylilies, yes.
So I have them standing in plants that have no flowers on them because all the flowers compose the deer. Yes.
This isn't good for the deer. And then you're surrounding yourself with lots of reference material.
Images of photographs all over the years I have in shoe boxes, all categorized alphabetically because otherwise I'd never find them.
Yes.
And then I have a whole bunch of other boxes that are filled with bugs and things because, of course, every now and then, we have
So you're basically a naturalist as well as an artist.
Yeah. Botanical artist.
A photographer as well.
Mm-hmm. And then I tell people I'm a botanical artist and I compose animals out of what they eat, and they go, huh?
Exactly. You have to see it to understand.
Well, I carry all these little business cards around with me that have an image on it.
Oh,
and
yes.
Then they understand.
And behind us is a lovely piece that has a really fun story. Could you tell us a little bit about this bear painting?
I will. Each piece that I do has a story behind it. So this one, a friend of mine has a bird feeder, and every morning the bird feeder would be knocked down, and she couldn't figure it out until she found a bear out there enjoying her bird feeder, and she called me up, you won't believe what's in my yard. So I drew a mama bear, and she had instructed her baby cub to go up and knock down the bird feeder. And so at the top you'll see a Canadian jay is just furious at her for having knocked down the bird feeder, and she's devouring it even before the cub has gotten back down the tree to help her eat it.
Oh, that's great. Well, it's a beautiful piece. And, another thing I think is very clever that you do is you create a key with each work of art. Yeah. And it tells, 1 through however many on the diagram of what everything is. So.
Well, also when I'm doing, for instance, trout, and I'm doing all the mayflies, the dragonflies, the damselflies, and all that, I don't fly fish. So I would, by the end of the painting, forget what I'd put in. So I have to keep a legal pad beside me and say, left upper fin, is composed out of whatever. Otherwise, when I go to, people go, oh, isn't that interesting? What's that bug? I'd go, I don't know.
Well, you're so organized. I'm just so impressed. Most artists are messy, and she is not one of those. And you are, like I said, organized with all your beautiful tools. So tell us a little bit. You have You have your paintbrushes,
Yep.
and this is, what is this? A special kind of light?
It is a special light, and I work with all different types of light. I work with natural light. I work with every kind of light I can, because when a person buys a piece, I don't know where they're going to be hanging it.
Right.
Hopefully not in the sunlight.
And do you use a magnifying glass ever?
I have it right in here.
How handy is that?
So when I'm doing very close-up work, I can take it right down there, and everything gets
show us a little bit how you work.
Well, I work with 000, and I go up to 3s, and then I have wash brushes and a whole collection of brushes here.
And you start with a pencil drawing.
I start with a pencil drawing, and then I know where I'm going with it, and then I go back to here for references. I start with the references on the colors, and then I sample the colors here, and then I blot them on here. It's a whole process.
It is a process.
So in here I have the wash up there, which is very light. And so that would go in here very lightly. And then I'll take a finer brush.
My goodness.
And go in with a darker color. And it'll bleed on up into the others. And then I can darken it still more and do that and get a base color in there. And then I can go back to ones I've already done to balance them out. And then if it didn't balance out quite the way I wanted, I can do that.
And you know what you have it all planned out.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes. Yeah.
So interesting.
I try to stay flexible. You know, somebody will come into my studio and they'll go, oh, well, they ate all of the snapdragons out of my, oh, okay, just a minute. You know, I took a list. At the studio tours last year, I said, you know, if you've had deer enter your garden, tell me what they liked.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you for coming by.
And allowing us to join you, actually. And if you ever get a chance to stop by Lisa Holley's studio here in Ketchum in the light industrial area, I want to encourage you to do so. And thank you for joining us for Art Beat with Lori McNee.
Better food, better price, better service. Atkinson's Market, supporting local farmers since 1956.
My name is Megan Murphy-Lingle, and I am the founder of SQN Sport. SQN Sport means sine qua non, and that means only the essential in Latin. The brand is built around the idea of what is essential for sport and an active life. And what we try to do is take away a lot of the extra embellishments on garments that people probably don't need that drive up the cost of the garment. By reducing it, we get a more contemporary, minimal design, and it also meets our brand message, which is what is essential.
Hi, I'm Karen Bosick with Ion Sun Valley, and dang it, I'm sitting all by myself right now. The reason being this coronavirus, which has turned life upside down in the United States. It's shuttered everything in Sun Valley, which is the busiest little place on earth, and according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, it's also the second most social place in the United States. But we can't get out and see our friends right now, can we? Well, one thing that has made it a lot more bearable for a lot of people is the meals to go that the Senior Connection is sending out to people. They're sending out 400 meals a week now to seniors who otherwise would have to get out of their houses to go to the grocery store or something like that. And the nice thing about these little guys is that they kind of break up the monotony. People kind of look forward to seeing what might be in them every day. Let's see what's in today's. Oh, this is chicken tandoori with rice and broccoli. And let's see what else we have. Oh, fresh fruits and vegetables. That's something that's been hard to come by for a lot of people during this epidemic. But look here. Orange slices, spinach, and a little slice of lemon cake.
Hi, I'm Maureen Terzian. I'm from Peekaboo, but I spent a lot of time working up here in Hailey, and so I always knew the existence of the senior center. And when my mom came to live with me, we used to come up here and have lunch, and I got acquainted with some of the staff members here, and I found that it was such a nice place. I'd actually looked at different senior centers down in Southern California where my mother was from, and I really wasn't impressed by them. But I walked in here, everyone was so nice. You could tell that it was a very town, community-oriented type of center, and that's what I was looking for my mom. So we would come up here, we'd go to lunch, always enjoyed it. Later on, when Teresa came in, I served on a couple of the committees. She got to know that I had a restaurant background, and so when they were thinking they were going to be in between chefs, she just said, "Would there be any way you could help me out?" I said, "Of course," because they had done so much for me. Of course, I was going to help them out. Well, it turned out she did need me when they were right before Thanksgiving. They were kind of chefless, and so they needed somebody to come in and try to keep the place going, basically. And so with the help of another smaller group of volunteers that were currently here, we got through Thanksgiving and we got through Christmas, and then the new chef came in January. And I've worked off and on with him, kind of subbing in whenever he needed somebody. And it's just been a great place. I love working here. I mean, I really do. You can ask my husband, because he knows the minute I get the call, I'm on my way. And you get to have friends. I mean, I really feel like some of they call them members that are here that come every day for lunch. You get to know them. You get to know what they like. You know where they're going to sit. I mean, it's just you talk to them. They want to know about you. They're excited, and it's just a lovely atmosphere to work in. It's probably the best atmosphere I've ever had to work in, where everyone it's a positive experience. For every day is a positive. When I first came on board, and that would have been during the holiday season, so we weren't doing a lot. We were maybe 60. People a day, and it would progress up till the end of the week. Fridays always was our big day, and we just kind of, after that, grew a little bit more as people were coming back from spending time with their families, and they were coming back to this family, and I would say overall we're probably doing the same number of meals that we've always done when they actually came to the center. Now, unfortunately, they can't come to the center, and so that we're doing two types of service. We have increased the Meals on Wheels program, and then we also have a curbside pickup. So if they can get here and everything, they'll go curbside. If they can't, they'll go with the Meals on Wheels. And I would say we're probably still up in the same, amount of customers. It's just that it's a different situation for the customers. But our main goal is, of course, to make sure that sometimes this is the only meal of the day for some of our clients and so our membership, and so it's really important that we're out there for them, and it's been a pleasure to be able to be a part of the team. The difference between what we were doing in the past, which was we had a steam table set up, they would walk through, we'd serve them. Now we do a set meal. We package it all for them. We have a package of salad and treats, and then we have the main entree. And we have a wonderful group of drivers who will come in. So we have to have it all set up and ready for the drivers, like by 9:30, 10, so that they can get out on the road and they can get to the people by noon, 1 o'clock, so that they can get their lunch. And we do, and we've always done this with the Meals on Wheels program. For the weekend, when there's no delivery, we make sure they have a sack lunch or an extra lunch, something, to get them through the weekend. We're still doing that. So in a way, nothing has changed on the Meals on Wheels except for this amount of customers we're doing, or members we're serving. But, the curbside's kind of different. unfortunately, we have to keep do the distance thing, so we have a table out front. They call us, say they're here, it gets placed on the table. So even the gals who are doing the curbside, they're missing the people and getting to be able to chit chat and see how they're doing and everything, because it's very isolated. Out it goes.
Okay, my name is Marie Gallo. I've been volunteering at the Senior Connection for the last 5 years now, and we had a crisis in the kitchen like last November. And so they called few volunteers who love cooking, or who are used to be in a restaurant business. So Maureen and I, we got involved to help because we were with other chefs last November for the Thanksgiving dinner. So we did a pretty good job, I think, and other volunteers were there to help out as well. This situation is a little bit different because, as you know, we are all on lockdown, and the Senior Connection, you can see the sign is closed for the last month, I think now. And so Maureen and I, we got involved on helping. Maureen did 3 weeks. Now she's done. She has a week off, so I'm taking over that week. And we are making the same amount, maybe a little bit more meals now that we used to do when we are open, except when it's holidays. So yeah, it's hard to be in the kitchen because we still keep our distance. We're only 2 of us in the kitchen. We have our mask, we have our gloves, and we keep precautions. And then Maureen was the leader when I worked last week. And this coming week, I will be working with Chef Brian. So I will miss Maureen for sure because we work so good together. It was really fun working. But most of all, we have the same goal. And the goal is to make sure the seniors are fed. And we don't want any senior to not have meals. And Maureen, I think I heard in her interview mentioned the Fridays are busier. And it's like that as well on a regular basis when we are open. Fridays is a day where we see more senior coming through because they're going to spend the weekend alone. So they want to make sure that they have a good meal, but also they want to make sure they have a dose of socializing, so to speak. What I miss the most, though, as much as I love being in the kitchen and help to make sure the seniors have meals on their table once a day, what I miss the most is the hugging part. I mean, it's really, really hard for me because every senior, each time I volunteer there on Tuesday or days they need extra volunteer, every senior who walked in the building, they receive a hug from me. Not only I give them a hug, but they give me back a hug, and it's so important to me. And I have to say, I missed it the most. And if I can take also a minute to mention the Meals on Wheels drivers, I would like to kudos them, and we say in French, chapeau, hat to them, because they're doing a fantastic job. I don't know how many volunteers they have because we don't interact with them because we are in the kitchen and we don't leave the kitchen for security reason, health reason. We don't want to interact if we don't have to. But let me tell you, those drivers are fantastic, and we need to recognize them because they deserve it. And without them, we know we couldn't serve 100+ people a day.
Teresa Lipman, the executive director of the Senior Connection, says that while their service model may have changed, their mission remains the same. That's to take care of our seniors. And, she notes, they need help now more than ever. If you would like a meal to go, call 208-788-3468. And of course, it goes without saying that the Senior Connection could sure use your donations right now. To donate, Mail your check to Box 28, Hailey, Idaho, 83333, or go to the Senior Connection website at seniorconnectionIdaho.org/donate. I'm Karen Bosick with Eye on Sun Valley. Until next time, I'm keeping my eye on Sun Valley for you.
No matter your taste or personal style, the shopping in Sun Valley has what you need for a day in the mountains or elegant night on the town. From bike sales, rentals, repair, outdoor accessories, and souvenirs to high-end, on-trend fashion and sportwear, including a hip, modern women's boutique, there is something for everyone in the Sun Valley Village. Don't forget about the kids, as stepping foot in the toy store is a dream come true for the little ones. The Sun Valley Village shopping options blend a touch of European style with Main Street USA hospitality, all in a charming mountain town setting.
You know, we go through a lot of traumatic mental breakdowns, and as you transition out of the military, you don't get a mental uplift. So if it's a veteran that doesn't know about hyperbarics, well then let's figure out how we can talk, because there's room for you here. It's going to heal you. So, and it starts with the brain regardless of what else is manifesting outside of that, and then spirit comes alive. And that's, for veterans at least, the most important thing is getting their spirit back.
Hi, I'm Karen Bosick with Eye on Sun Valley. Not too far from Bald Mountain at Sun Valley Resort is a barley farm that has been providing barley for America's premium beers for decades. One of the daughters of that family, Brett Stevenson, has taken it one step further. Brett grew up riding the bus to school, round trip, 3 hours a day. And on those trips, she learned to fall in love with the land as she watched sandhill crane in the pastures and all. Now she's growing organic wheat on that very pasture land she once passed through. And she's taken it one step further. She's built a mill providing really good flour. Let's talk to Brett.
I'm Brett Stevenson, and this is Hillside Grain Flour Mill, and we're at Hillside Ranch, or at least part of the ranch. My parents moved here in the early 70s, and they've been farming here since then, primarily barley for the brewing industry, and then in recent years we started growing wheat in anticipation of a flour mill. So I grew up here, and it means a lot to me to be able to basically build upon what my dad has created. He's done a really good job, I think, of learning different farming techniques and trying to change with the times and incorporate more and more conservation practices. So it's neat for us to now be able to grow our products and process them locally and be able to eat them. We've never been able to do that, ironically enough. Growing barley for the brewing industry, it always is shipped off and turned into beer. And so it's really actually remarkably unusual and gratifying for us to be able to grow our grain, process it, and eat it here, which is really fun. Yeah, well, just growing up down here, it's hard not to fall in love with this area. I think it really is a part of who me and my brother are and became as adults. It had, I think, a big influence on both of us. It's a hard place to leave. I think our parents thought when we were young that we would move on and move elsewhere and get some other job, and they could never really quite get rid of us. We just kept coming back. So one motivating factor was to build on top of what my dad had already created, and the other was realizing that we're growing some great grain in this part of Idaho, and a lot of it is sort of lost for lack of a better term, into the food system, and I wanted to be able to process some grain locally. So we looked into malting for a while and hit some roadblocks in malting. Then we started looking into milling and thought there was a great opportunity for fresh flour, not just in this region, but in the country, frankly, because there's, I think, a real shortage of fresh flour. Most of our flour in the country is heavily processed and sifted, and so it's taking the germ and the brand off of the flour, which makes it more white and gives it better longevity. And in doing so, you miss out on the flavor and the nutrition. And so we're pretty excited to be able to process our grain here and retain a lot of nutritional value and a lot of flavor in a product. So when we embarked on this adventure, I contacted a mill designer in Denmark, and he helped design and source all of the equipment from Europe. That was pretty interesting because we couldn't find most of this equipment in the US because it's really a mid-scale food production, which is largely absent in the US. The millstones, you can't find anything like that in the US. So he sourced almost everything in Europe. We had it shipped over, and it arrived not by design, but in November and December in a couple snowstorms, and the building wasn't complete at that point. So we were unloading equipment and assembling equipment when we had a foundation and a little bit of a structure, but no roof or walls. And so it was snowing on us, and we're trying to assemble flour silos and snowstorms and stuff. So it was a pretty memorable winter, but we got all the equipment put together and installed, and the building built around it, and have been slowly kind of working out the kinks since then. So we're growing a hard red wheat and also a soft white wheat. One has high protein, that's really good for bread flour, also pasta, tortillas, and then the soft white has a low protein, so it's better for cookies and things like that. You know, I was at the California Wheat Commission recently, and they kind of laughed and said, all-purpose is really no-purpose flour. It's sort of the generic, it kind of does everything, but it doesn't do anything well. And I thought that was really interesting. So what we're trying to do is have more specific flours that will produce better products. And what we're specializing in is called high extraction flour. It's more of a European type of flour. Again, in the US, we have pretty much white flour, and then we have whole wheat flour. There's this whole gradient in between that's high extraction. So basically you have your wheat kernel and you're extracting certain amounts off of that wheat kernel, and we try to keep quite a bit of bran and germ on there for the flavor and the nutritional value. And then with our process, we're able to create a flour still that's light and lofty and performs more like a white wheat, but it tastes more like and has nutritional value more like a whole wheat.
We need to take a break. We'll be back in 1 minute.
Better food, better price, better service. Atkinson's Market, supporting local farmers since 1956.
Are you like me and can't stand paying your insurance bill? Just when you pay all your bills for the month, then along comes that dreaded insurance bill, putting the hurt on your checking account. Hello, I'm Mark Balkos, president of Wood River Insurance. That's why Wood River Insurance is an independent insurance agency. This means we have a multiple of insurance companies we offer to our clients. This allows us to hold the insurance companies accountable for coverage, service, and most important of all, pricing. When I started in this business 33 years ago, I only represented one company to my customers. And after a while, I felt as though my hands were tied when trying to be as competitive as I could. As an independent insurance agency, we represent you to the insurance company, not the insurance company to you. This allows Wood River Insurance to be as competitive as possible. So call us today at 208-7...
Welcome back. Let's rejoin Brett Stevenson as she shares some more about her exciting adventure with wheat.
So we grow our wheat just on the other side of the mill. That's it's a 3/4 pivot of soft white wheat. It's certified organic. And then on the other side of the road is where the hard red comes from. And then we store the majority of it in this grain bin, and it goes into the system. And on the far side of the building is the cleaning side of the building, where the grain gets sorted, cleaned, chaff comes off, weed seed, anything else, dust. There's a big air system that pulls off the dust, and then it goes into silos. From those silos, when we're ready to temper it, it goes over into a tempering silo where we add a little bit of water to get the moisture content to where we want it. Hard red or bread flour, we usually target around 15%. When we hit that percent, usually within 12 hours or so, it goes to the roller mill for the first break. And then it does this, we'll see inside, it does this really fun sort of bobbing back and forth between the roller mill and the sifters, because there's 2 breaks on the roller mill, and it does this back and forth. And then at the bottom of the sifters, it sorts out between a coarse grind, which goes down to the stone mill. What's already made into flour from the first break goes into the flour silos, because you don't want to mill flour twice. And then the bran goes back to the second break on the roller mill. And throughout this whole system, the jet filter on the outside there is controlling all the dust. So the system is completely enclosed. It's a dust-tight system. It's all pneumatically fed and augers. And then at the bottom of the system is sort of our showpiece. That's the stone mill that was custom and handmade in Holland by a miller. And he made it with really, really hard stones, so it's well suited for our climate and our hard grain here. They're about 5 feet across, and they're 1.5 tons each. And I don't think there are any stones like this in the country, so it's pretty exciting to have them here. And then from there are flour silos, and from the flour silos, it's fed into a bagger, and we'll see the bagger on the inside. Right now, it's in the bulk bins at Atkinson's in Bellevue, and I'm gonna work with Sherry Cray to get it at Cray's Market, because right now we only have the 25-pound bags, which is usually more than a home baker wants, but you can get it at the bulk bins in Atkinson's, and hopefully someday soon we'll have little 4-pound bags too to do the regular markets, but in the meantime, yeah, it's in the bulk bin.
I can't wait till Brett Stevenson starts packaging her Hillside grain in smaller packages. In the meantime, buy a big sack, have a flower party. Thanks for joining us. I'm Karen Bosick with Eye on Sun Valley. Until next time, I'm keeping my eye on Sun Valley for you.
Hi, Mark. I just wanted to take a few minutes just to let you know how thankful us at Wood River Insurance are for all the first responders, healthcare workers, truck drivers, postal workers, grocery store clerks, everybody that's continuing to service the public. We sure appreciate you guys. And to show how serious we are about it, take a look at this. And when you see this sign when you drive by, honk. Show your support.
My name's Keith Perry, and my wife Paula and I are the owners of Perry's Restaurant, operating here since 1985, and we've grown to become a local institution here.
We make almost everything from scratch, including all our muffins, our cookies, our salad dressings. Everything is made to order.
Perry's is open daily at 7 a.m., serving hearty breakfasts, and lunchtime made-to-order sandwiches, soups, and salads, and premium beer and wine.
Hi, I'm Karen Bosick with Eye on Sun Valley. Thank you for joining us today. I'm coming to you from the Blaine County Historical Museum in Hailey, Idaho. I'm here with its new director, Rebecca Cox, who has had a long-standing interest in history. Rebecca, welcome. How did you get interested in history?
Thank you, Karen. Well, I have to give that credit to my parents. My father has always been a historian. My siblings and I were just taught to research and to learn about the past, and we've done that throughout my life, and I decided I'd like to get involved in our local museum.
And since your father was a civilian working with the U.S. military, you toured practically every museum in Europe. What makes the museum here in Hailey unique in your opinion?
Yeah, we do go to a lot of museums, and I continue that even with my own children, but what I love about our museum is it's very personal. There's a lot of personal articles, personal stories that really tell the story of people just persevering through hard times. And we have some of the mementos that tell those stories. So it seems more personal.
And you have an interesting setup too. You have different rooms, right?
Right, yeah. And we try to really keep things consistent with the era. So we have different dioramas and presentations of like an old schoolhouse or a turn-of-the-century kitchen, so we can show kids how life used to be without electricity. Or we have a display that shows the military or Sun Valley history and a lot of mining, because mining was a big part of our history. We have a big mine in the back that kids can explore with mining hats, and we try to make it as interactive as we can.
Well, we're standing here right now in a room that's kind of dedicated to early medicine in the Wood River Valley.
Right.
In particular, when Sun Valley Lodge was turned into a convalescent hospital. Can you tell me about that?
That's right, and I didn't even know this history until getting involved. The details of it, that the Sun Valley Lodge that we all know and love, it was used as a convalescent hospital from 1943, which would be right in the middle of the war, up until about 47. So for the soldiers, apparently over 6,000 soldiers were treated for physical problems as well as mental problems, PTSD. There was a lot of therapy, occupational therapy as well as physical, and they really took care of those men and women really well for 4 years.
I would think coming to Sun Valley would be pretty good therapy. What is this you have?
This is a very special item of the museum. So this box was actually purchased in 1988 in Connecticut at a yard sale, and the woman who purchased it said that the woman having the sale told her it was her son who had done this in Sun Valley, as you can see.
It's like toe painting.
Exactly. So it was actually a therapy that he had gone through in 1947 in June, probably beautiful weather in Sun Valley, and he did a painting as he recovered in the convalescent hospital. So this box traveled from Sun Valley all the way to Connecticut, all the way back here, and now we house it here in the museum to show to the soldiers and kind of tell that story a little bit.
So the woman who purchased this for the museum saw the Sun Valley on it.
She recognized it.
Clear away in Connecticut.
Right. She asked about it, and the woman told her the story.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful. It is. And it's very special, especially considering, you know, the hospital bed that we have, and just imagining what that was like for Sun Valley, that continued to thrive as a tourism spot, but also was really taking care of the men and women who were, you know, doing a lot of things for the country.
So Rebecca, what do we have here?
So this is a time capsule. For 100 years, this was housed in the Episcopal Church in Hailey. And all of these contents all fit, amazingly enough, in this little box here. And the townspeople put this in for 100 years to be open in 1985, which they did. And it was actually a large Masonic ceremony in full dress. And it was a big celebration. And they opened the contents and found what we have here, which is a lot of mining samples, because mining, of course, was the lifeblood of the town in 1885. We have the newspapers, Bibles, there's some little coins, a list of the people who were involved in creating the time capsule. And at the same time, in 1985, they also made a new time capsule, which the Blaine County Historical Museum houses for the next 100 years.
I wonder what they put in that. We'll have to come back in a few years and find out, I guess.
Yes, we shouldn't know until it's opened. But as you can see, the silver mine was a big deal in the town in 1885. And so we have a lot of samples from the surrounding mines.
Okay. We need to take a break. We'll be right back with a few more interesting objects in the museum.
I always sense a level of honesty, you know, in the music that we create.
It's all about listening to each other and taking styles and blending them.
We just let our music happen, and sometimes it takes us to places where we never thought we could go, and we're looking at each other when we're done going, how do we do that? And that's really the only way that you can create that kind of magic, is to just leave space for it to happen.
Audio Innovations is an innovative audio-visual company that designs, integrates, and simplifies a truly custom system to keep you comfortable, entertained, and secure in your own home. Audio Innovations TJ's Electric offers a variety of services, from phone systems to lighting control systems, HVAC systems, home theater, electrical, audio, and video, drapery systems, and more. Audio Innovations, 91 East Croy Street, Alturas Plaza, in Hailey.
Now, Rebecca, this is an interesting object.
Yes.
Tell me about this.
I thought it was very sweet when I found it. It's been in the museum for quite a while, but when I read the inscription, it just made it so interesting. This is a cup that was presented to the first child born in Galena, Idaho, which Galena, as you know, is north of Sun Valley. And the inscription reads, to William Galena Berry, so apparently they named him after the town. First child born in Galena, Idaho, November 14th, 1882, presented by the citizens on Christmas Day, 1882. He was probably just over a month old. Wow. And just how that must have felt for the town to be celebrating their first child.
And it's immaculately
preserved,
inscribed with leaves and beautiful handwriting. And
it is, and it obviously was very sentimental for the whole town to chip in and do the celebration. I bet it was a really exciting time for the town. So when I read that, I thought that was very sweet and something that should be shown and show what that early time must have felt like for them.
And of course, Galena was a mining camp during the late 1800s. Then Marilyn Monroe visited it during the time she was filming Bus Stop north of Ketchum.
Exactly, right.
And now, of course, it's a major Nordic center during the winter and has recently become a mountain bike hub.
Yes.
Have you any personal experiences?
Yes, I mean, I think that the whole town really loves the Galena area, and even myself have taken my family up for Christmas morning in one of the yurts, and it's just a beautiful place to be, and to think of the history that's gone there before us is quite amazing.
What a cool way to spend Christmas.
Yes.
The museum has a very handsome collection of slot machines that were in Idaho during the 1950s when gambling was legal here. Tell me about these interesting...
Yes. These are the remnants of probably a very popular pastime of gambling up until 53 when it was illegal after that point. So we house a few of these, and these were probably located in the bars or the different saloons in town, but some of them are pretty fun and pretty interesting and still function, actually.
Tell me about the one next to you.
Well, this is our nickel machine, which is sort of fun. I'll give you a little demonstration here. Kind of bounces right around there. And of course, we don't let people win at the museum. They are donations at that point.
So that's a Japanese.
Apparently it was a design that used to be some sort of a game, probably in the early part of the century.
And it's got what looks like a record with pins sticking out
all around
for the nickel to fall through.
Exactly. And the one close to you, Karen, is actually a cigar dispenser. So you would win in cigars, which is probably very exciting for some people. And then right here in the middle is the star of the show, the one-armed bandit.
Oh, I gotta try this. Oh,
almost.
Whoa, I got something. Try another one. Oh, I missed
the cigar.
Well, I hope you come on down to the museum. Try your hand at the one-armed bandit. The museum is located on Main Street, Hailey. It's open Monday through Saturdays from 11 to 5 p.m. From just before Memorial Day to the end of October after Trailing of the Sheep Festival and the Sun Valley Jazz and Music Festival are over. It's free, but they don't mind if you drop a few quarters into the one-armed bandit. Till next time, I'm Karen Bosick with Eye on Sun Valley, and I'm keeping my eye on Sun Valley for you.
Better food, better price, better service. Atkinson's Market, supporting local farmers since 1956.
You just never know what kind of day someone's having. If we don't get out of self and we don't look at the other person in the eyes or say hi or hello, we have no idea, what kind of impact that could have had for someone for that day.
It's kind of tragic. As we age, a person tends to isolate himself for one reason or another. When I applied for Meals on Wheels, I didn't realize what a wonderful service it really was. Socializing with all of the volunteers that come to visit, they're just doing it out of their good kindness, their good-heartedness, and it contributes to my nourishment and to my health.
We can be a community that looks after all our members. No one forgotten, no one alone, no one hungry.
How to help? What can I do? What can we do? If we want to make a difference, we have to get out there.
While I am theoretically here to help and give to other people, I always feel like I get so much more back.
The volunteers have wonderful insight in what makes elders happy. All the people here have such interesting lives and stories. We're not just elders here. And most of all, we don't feel isolated.
You feel good mentally by coming here.
Well, it's changed us.
It's filled my heart, it's filled my life with so much activity.
I think we all long to be communal. We long to be cared for and loved, and that's what happens here. Aging doesn't discriminate. We're all gonna age. There's no way of getting around it. Our desire is that quality of life and love and family would be available to all members of our community. That's what we do. If not us, who? Someone once said to me a month or so ago, he said, people say Disneyland's the happiest place on earth. I think this place is the happiest place on earth.
That this is the most fabulous place to come. I'm 85 and I do not feel my age. And I think it's because of the senior connection.
We just keep each other moving.
It's like family is a gathering place. It's played a big part in my life.
This is what we do, and we can't do it without you.
Eye on Sun Valley, daily local news from beautiful Sun Valley, Idaho.